Are you an artist who feels lost, stuck, anxious? Do you feel insecure, uncertain, or unsafe about the future? Do you maybe feel behind in life? Are you struggling with your career? Are you currently trying to learn art and you're planning to do something serious with it in the future, but you don't really know how you will get there? Do you feel like you're not talented enough and keep questioning yourself and your choices? Let's be real. Learning and pursuing art is just not easy. I don't know your exact situation, but I assume you clicked on this video because you are going through it. But please stop beating up yourself. Yes, I'm looking at you, hello there. It's okay, you can crawl out of the hole. In fact, many of us are in this hole together, so let's crawl out of it together. This video will contain two main parts, my story and giving you some guidance. Of course, you can skip right to the second part if you're not curious about my lore. I will put the timestamps in the description and comment section. Okay, let's get started. I hope you don't mind if I share a story with you. I don't want to make this video completely about me, so I'll try to be as brief as possible. I usually don't share stuff that's too personal. I don't really talk about my struggles, but maybe telling the lore of how I stood up and plus altered myself out of the mud will encourage you a bit. Mind you, I'm still not where I want to be, but things are much better now. I graduated from university as an animation designer in 2021. The first serious project I got to work on was a feature film. I animated in it from 2020 until early 2022. I don't mean to brag, but it was not easy working almost full-time while having to work on a bunch of uni projects and assignments and also managing my taxes and papers as a freelancer alone. I know the Panini era sucked, but because I had to attend lectures and courses online, I had more time to animate on the movie I mentioned. I also didn't have to commute to uni for like 3 hours on weekdays, which saved me a big amount of time. My last semester was a bit crazy. I was working into graduation short films, on assignments, preparing for my final exams, writing my thesis while doing my animation job. I continued working on the movie after I graduated. In fall, I started to prepare to move to Korea. I packed and left my country in February 2022. My plan was to stay in Seoul from 2 to 12 months. I ended up staying there for 9 months. During the mandatory quarantine, I was applying for jobs. I got one very soon. I started to work in a background art team as an intern in one of the biggest animation studios in Seoul. I was so damn excited. This was like a dream coming true. Our studio was so cozy and looked like those typical animation studios, with figures and decorations on the desks. Just when my internship ended in June, our team moved out from the big studio and we continued working as a small team in another office. We got quite much outsourced work from Japanese studios and we also worked on Korean and some American projects. On a side note, I was very interested in becoming a background artist even during uni. I wrote my thesis about Shinkai Makoto and I analyzed the animation and background art of his movies in detail. I'm pretty sure many of you know what I mean when I say his works are just pure, wonderful, spectacular, breathtaking art. The kind of art that's so beautiful it makes you gasp. It's kinda crazy how anime made me interested in learning background art, and like a year after submitting my thesis, I started to work as a background artist. It's like I unconsciously manifested this. Everything is connected and everything leads to something. Maybe you're thinking, okay, you're telling us all about your successes, but we're here because we are going through some stuff, so this doesn't really help. Let me tell you, just because I accomplished some of my goals in Korea, that doesn't mean it was a fairy tale. Sometimes it was rough. I had days when I was working from 10 a.m. until past 5 a.m. the next day. Here's the thing, I love that job, but I couldn't have done it for more than a year. Physical and mental health is extremely important. It's more important than a job. Of course, not every single day was rough, but I was working for at least 9 hours on weekdays, sometimes even for 12, 13, 14 hours for a very low paycheck. When you do this for a longer period of time, you start to question things, not to mention it's not good for the health of your mind and body. I learned so much, improved so fast. I learned a bunch of new techniques, different rendering styles. I literally learned the process of making anime background art. I'm so grateful for these opportunities, to the team members I was working with and to my friends in Korea. I didn't only improve at art, but at the Korean language too. I learned so much about myself, about the people and culture there, and I discovered so many new things and places. But my journey ended there. It was time to come back home. 2022 was my most intense year so far. I had very happy, joyful, exciting, and also very dark, rough, and depressed days. My soul era was insane. When I moved back home in late 2022, I almost immediately got a new office job, so I moved again, this time to the capital city in our country. But after 2 weeks, I literally quit the job because it sucked, to say the least, so I moved back home again. I'm a bit crazy. Anyway, I needed to rest. I went through some shit I really had to take the time to process and heal from. I was also burnt out and not in a good mental space, so I took a break. I was thinking things couldn't go even more downhill from here, but oh boy was I wrong. Around February, I started to apply for animation jobs and write emails to studios. Let me spill some tea here. The animation industry in my country is quite small, but it's not that bad, you know. We have a lot of collaborations with different European studios. The market is definitely better than it was, let's say, 15 years ago. But unfortunately, it seems like connections and having a very specific art style that almost can be considered ugly by a general bigger audience matter more than job experience and skills when it comes to the animation industry here. Metaphorically speaking, the community is inbred AF. They live in their own little bubble. They complain about how there aren't any animators and artists who are willing to do the work, so deadlines and release dates get postponed constantly.
What the hell we gonna do now?
But when there's someone who has at least 3 years of experience and a pretty decent portfolio, they suddenly pretend like they can't see. Like, hello, excuse me, I exist and can work like a fucking robot if I want to. Hi. Maybe I should have concentrated more on building connections and on social skills instead of art skills and working hard. I don't know. I'm not even being sarcastic here. I was silly for thinking that working abroad, especially in a country that has one of the biggest animation industries in the world, working on Netflix series, games, children's and adult animation and on anime was going to get me hired more easily. Like such a silly and goofy little girl I was. But hell no, I'm not going to do this. You know what? Actually, thank you for ignoring and rejecting me because I don't want to belong to this gang. Bye.
So there you go. I said what I said and I meant what I said because I said what I said.
I felt kind of upset about this whole situation, you know. Not anymore though, I'm doing fine, thank you. And by the way guys, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Maybe I should make a video where I expose all the clownery that is going on, I don't know. Oh wow, there's some crazy tea I could spill. I also have a theory that they probably don't want to hire me or assign me work because they saw the anime pages in my portfolio, and in some European countries, art teachers and directors literally despise anime, but even any art style or piece of media that bears the slightest resemblance to the aesthetic of mainstream Japanese animation. That is, maybe this sounds like a conspiracy theory that I came up with to explain all the unfair stuff that's happened to me, but I have heard and seen things that can prove my points. But let's get back to the story. What bothered me the most was the empty promises. A bunch of emails, production managers telling me that there will be projects which they are searching animators and even background artists for. They told me that they will get back to me. I was waiting. I emailed them again. They told me to wait. When they told me to wait, that was the better case. 3 of them even told me they would get back to me soon, then completely disappeared. Literal ghosting is what happened here. I had to look for other ways. I don't give up easily. I really wanted to find a project or projects I could work on, so I registered to Upwork. I finally got a client who asked me to make a sketch animation for a short story. The budget was very low and I had to make all the animation and backgrounds by myself, but I still accepted the offer. It was better than nothing. When I finished the project, I was applying for countless jobs that were posted on Upwork. Most of the people who posted these didn't even took a glance at my CV or portfolio. Some of them took a look at my stuff but didn't get back to me. Some of them contacted me and praised my portfolio but didn't hire me. The client who I made the sketch animation for asked me to make illustrations, so at least I could work on that. I was still constantly looking for opportunities on Upwork, on different job search websites, even on animated jobs. I even applied for video editing, content creation, translation, and graphic design jobs. Also, I find it quite interesting how they hired me in Korea as a freaking foreigner with half the experience I had back then as I have now. Since then, my portfolio became 2 times prettier and sexier, but motherfuckers in my own country and even on Upwork are being Irisphobic. The fuck? This was going on for more than half a year in 2023. During summer, there were weeks I could hardly fall asleep, and it was not because of the heat. My mind was racing with negative thoughts and questions. My anxiety was over the roof, but mentally, I came out of the dungeon. My mind is clear now and I have plans and strategies. Besties, I have planted the seeds. Anyway, that's the lore. I still left quite much tea and information out, but I would rather not talk about everything on the internet, you know. Now, let's move on to you, bestie, because I really want to help you at least a tiny bit. You know, as an artist, as a creative person, when you experience something like this, you really start to wonder about different things. Am I the problem itself? What am I doing wrong? Am I not skilled enough? Do I even have any talent? And here comes the anxiety and spiraling. You ask yourself what you did or what you are doing wrong and start to question your whole life and career. You might start to feel unsafe because the future looks so uncertain. I was asking myself, why did I put so much time, effort and energy into learning these things if literally not a single person needs it? Especially when there's quite a high demand for animators and video editors. Maybe you have experienced this not only through your career but on social media too. When you post art and get 2 likes on a drawing you poured your heart and soul into, feeling invisible and being ignored is just not nice. It's not easy to come out of this dusty and crusty mental state, especially if you're not aware of the power of your own thoughts and if you are not able to control your mind to a certain extent because maybe you haven't read or learned about these things yet. Even if you start to learn about them, successfully implementing some methods will take quite a lot of time. And even if you get used to the practice of ruling your mind, there will be times when you fall back a little, but that's okay. This is why learning to control your mind is so very important, especially if you are someone who makes art and wants to make a career of it. If I could accomplish the goal of animating in a movie, which was a childhood dream of mine, could move to Korea and follow my passion, which were also silly little dreams, I can manifest and reach other even bigger goals. Maybe this is just a transitional time and the universe or God or whatever you want to call it just wants to lead me or you to a different path and is showing us better options and opportunities. Navigating in complete darkness, only seeing one step ahead or not even seeing anything, just trying to touch the walls or the ground so that you can walk or crawl forward is hard. Purging out bad stuff might be painful, but it's worth it. It will clear out unnecessary things and make you let go of what's not serving you. Rejection can often be a blessing. This is paradoxical, but to control your mind, you must let go of things that are beyond your control. I had to learn this the hard way because I was addicted to wanting to control everything in my life. That's why I was so frustrated and anxious when I didn't get any replies and when people didn't even take a few minutes of their time to look at my CV or portfolio. I was wondering if all of this is because I have zero talent and skills, and I started to think I have no chance of continuing my art career because I suck at drawing and animating. But that's just simply not true. I don't consider myself talented at art itself. However, I have talent in learning, working hard, and achieving my goals, even if it takes a long time. I was a bit silly for thinking I can draw and shit. It's a good method to stop for a minute and think about and list your strengths when you start to question your own worth. I don't really know why no one wanted to hire me or work with me as a freelancer, but I don't have to know everything. Maybe I will realize everything when I look back a few years from now. The same goes for you. I'm still working on this, but it's much better now. I advise you to try letting go of things that you simply just can't control. Detachment will give you peace, but of course learning this also takes quite some time. However, what you absolutely can control is getting better at art and focusing on what's important. Learning new skills, polishing your existing ones, reorganizing your portfolio so that it slaps, things like that. Becoming strong, disciplined, make banger art, and they will realize their loss. They lost you, darling, and by becoming a better version of yourself and a great artist, animator, editor, designer, whatever creative person you are, you will attract much better opportunities. You can even build an own business if you'd like to. Now, obviously, I know managing this is not easy because many of us have to pay rent and bills, so you might have to search for a different kind of job which will eat up so much of your time, but if you can, maybe work part-time. Or even better, if you have the chance, don't even go to work at a workplace. Just work on, study, and practice art. This might be a bit controversial, it's easier said than done, but I assume you are still in your 20s. I can see from my analytics that the biggest part of my audience is between 18 and 24, so if you have the chance, move back to or stay at your parents' house and learn. Get better at art. Do a social media detox. Only post on your art account, stop doom scrolling, and look at art and artists that you like and get inspired by. You can even try going monk mode. Work on yourself and on your skills for at least 6 months. If you're a bit older, it's still not late. I personally know people who moved back home and got back to education, started to take courses in their late 20s, even in their early 30s, because they want to switch careers. There are plenty of people starting successful businesses in their 30s or even 40s and quitting their regular jobs. If you really want to achieve something, you will do everything you can. If you don't want it enough, you will simply just won't start taking steps. If you can take only 1 hour of your day to practice art and to do research, learn ways of how you can make a successful career of it, that's already good. You know, there are so many artists getting tons of commissions and orders on social media, Etsy, print shops, etc. So many of them draw in anime style, for example. They launched a small art business and it's thriving. Many of them are not even art god level skilled. If they can do it, so can you. I mean, you don't have to sell anime art if you don't want to. That's not my plan either. What's important is to be very clear of how and what you want to create. Make a plan and strategy on how you can make a living of art and or animation. It takes a lot of time, work and energy, but you can achieve it. This is what you like doing, this is what you are passionate about, so I don't want you to waste your potential and give up on your dreams and goals. And of course, this goes for people who don't want to make a business but rather want to work at a studio, and for people who are still learning at high school or university too. All of you can take something from this. Write down your goals, make a plan. Break that plan down to bigger and smaller steps. There are so many videos on YouTube about planning, focus, about art careers and art businesses. This is free, valuable education and information, so use it. If you already have your own plans, strategy and methods, that's even better. Another thing that's worth mentioning is to stop comparing yourself to other artists, or at least do it in a healthy way. Comparing your art with others can be a bit damaging to your mental health, so do it in healthy doses and ways. Instead of saying I suck and I never be as good as them, say they are amazing and if I keep practicing one day I'll get to their level. Don't be jealous, be inspired. You can become a successful artist too. Actually, you don't even have to get to art god levels. Art is not always about who's better at it, it is often about who does it in a smarter way. I also still have to learn this. Many artists suck at marketing and managing their social media accounts. We just want to draw, but we have to learn this stuff too. It is what it is. I'm not saying you have to have thousands or 10,000s of followers, but have at least a little presence on some platform. But don't fall into the trap of constantly looking at numbers and analytics either. Between sessions of studying and practicing art, take the time to draw or paint stuff you like. Getting into flow and enjoying creating something is the healthiest way to get high. If you draw things you like, you will avoid art block and getting burnt out at a higher chance. You will experience burnout at least once in your life, but I think that's necessary. You can get your passion back by watching anime or reading manga, for example. For me, when I don't want to draw at all, anime really helps me to get my ass up and do the work. Collecting inspiration on Pinterest or going to art museums and galleries can also be good ways. When you're already thinking of giving up on art and you're questioning your whole life, go back to point zero a bit. Remember why you started this whole thing in the first place. Even if art is just a hobby of yours yet and you want to improve it and make something bigger of it in the future. What and who inspired you to start your art journey? This brings me to my next point, which is clearing your mind. Instead of asking yourself damaging questions like, why am I so worthless? What's even the point of doing this? Why is everyone more successful and better than me? Ask yourself healthy questions like, what was the reason I started this? Why do I want to do this? Or what or who pushed me to not give up? What or who is inspiring me? You can even write these questions and the answers to them on a piece of paper or in your journal. Another way to clear your mind is to start meditating. I'm that serious about this. You don't have to do it like monks. You can do it by taking a walk, for example, moving your body, working out, implementing a productive routine. Journaling are also really helpful ways to organize your thoughts and tidy your brain. They will drastically improve your mental health. Cut out distractions. When you draw, put your phone away in another room or put it in a distance you can't reach it. Switch off the Wi-Fi, switch on airplane or focus mode. Most phones nowadays have the option to turn off notifications or even whole apps for a selected period of time. Turn on some music that helps you to focus if you want to. For me, listening to instrumental music makes drawing and animating easier and more enjoyable. When I listen to my banger playlist, I feel like I got the main character. Let's fucking go. Often when we get into situations like what I was talking about, we tend to start overthinking the whole thing, so it will seem much worse than it actually is. Many young people stay unemployed for years. Many study at university for even 6, 7, 8 years. Also, just because someone became successful at a younger age than you, that doesn't make you a loser. There's nothing wrong with wanting to achieve your goals as fast as possible, but you must learn patience. This comes from an absolutely impatient person, aka me. You will get out of this, it's just temporary. In fact, you will get out of it faster if you don't overthink everything and try to redirect your mind to what's really important. When you eventually overcome whatever hardship you are or were in, you will see it was really not the end of the world. I mean, of course, there are situations in our lives which are way worse than the problems I'm talking about, but that's another story. Those have to be dealt with in a different way. Pause for a second and try to learn and practice patience. Building your empire will probably take years, but the way to success will hold so many important lessons. Maybe you could try enjoying the journey a bit. This is cliché, but it's true. Think about how planting a fruit tree, protecting it while it's small and fragile, watering it, waiting for it to grow, then waiting even more until it starts to bear fruit takes such a long time. But it's worth it because it's good for the environment. It gives nutrition to people, birds, to the soil. It gives you shadow in the summer and shelter when it rains. Its flowers are so pretty when they blossom. I'm being kinda cheesy here, but making art is a similar process. One of the things I've also experienced is feeling like I'm behind others. I'm not just talking about animators or artists, but also about my peers or even friends. In 2023, I really felt like a loser. Everyone is working, they have a nice social life, they are going out with friends, they post it on social media. It seems like they have it together, and I'm here in my mid-20s stumbling and not being able to move forward with my career and life. I also felt a big amount of guilt because my education was not cheap. I think there's even a term for this, they call it mid-20s crisis or what. I wasn't used to feeling stuck and behind because during my childhood, teenage years, and even in my early 20s, I always had everything together, was academically successful, and I usually achieved stuff sooner than others my age. This is not a flex though. I guess in order to learn and grow, I had to experience feeling behind as well. Probably many of you have felt or feel like this, but believe me, most people don't have their lives together. Maybe they are successful at their career but feel lonely and depressed, or they have a bunch of friends. They seem happy and cheerful, but they can hardly afford to pay their bills. I don't know. You never really know what's going on inside their heads. Of course, they won't show what area of their lives is currently in shambles unless you are very close to them. Nowadays, people are obsessed with the idea that if you're not successful by the age of 25, everything's over for you, you stay broke and sad for the rest of your life, and I low-key don't fuck with that. Stop accepting unhealthy ideas, work on having a healthy mindset. Develop some critical thinking skills maybe. Just because a 16-year-old artist draws better than you and let's say you're 27, that doesn't mean it's time for you to give up. I don't know who the fuck started to call people in their late 20s and 30s old, but that's just bullshit. Seriously, stop listening to toxic people, stop watching depressing content on TikTok and on Insta, and draw because you are an artist, bro. Like, hello, hi. It's comfortable to sit in the lukewarm water of victim mentality. I'm guilty of it too, but get the fuck up and do the work. That's why it can be extremely helpful and useful to go on a social media detox for at least a few months. If you don't look at people's stories and posts on Insta, you'll be less likely to compare yourself and your life to others. You won't even start thinking about stuff like this after a few weeks. It's working really well for me. My focus stays on what's important. Besides, as I deleted Instagram and Twitter from my phone, I can't doom scroll and consume content that doesn't serve me, which saves me a bunch of time. I just post from my PC and check my art account on Twitter sometimes. I really recommend you to try this out. Everyone is different, everyone is moving at a different pace, living a different life. Focus on art and on improving. Create. It's not a coincidence that you like creating, it's what your soul is encouraging you to do. So start listening to that cute little inner voice. Alright, I think that's it. If you made it to this point of the video, I'm very grateful to you. I wish I could buy you some kind of banger cake. Anyway, wherever you are currently in your art journey, whatever you're dealing with, I want you to know that I'm cheering for you. People who choose art, animation, writing, editing, music, any creative career path are kind of unhinged, but y'all are cool as fuck. Let me know what topics you would be interested in. You can write your suggestions in the comment section. Also, feel free to rant. I will gladly read your comments. Maybe we can even help each other. Thank you very much for watching this video. Stay hydrated, take care, love and peace.